All right, all right, all right. There he is. How you feeling, baby? You feeling good?
Feeling good. Another week at it. We just watched not so entertaining Super Bowl, but we move on now to officially the whole 2026 season, as the 2025 season is behind us, and that means pretty soon here we'll be looking into the combine and the draft, and before the draft, free agency. So a lot of exciting times to see what's in the future for the Miami Dolphins.
And I think that the Super Bowl proves once again that it's what I've been talking about. We got to stop doing things ass backwards. Oh, let's go get the quarterback. And then, oh, no, let's draft a quarterback. Okay, now we have a window. We are pressured. No. Go build the team, dude. Go build the trenches. And then go get your young quarterback or get a veteran. Because as you're watching, half of the Super Bowls in the last 10, 15 years are being won by quarterbacks that aren't necessarily great quarterbacks. So, you got to start saying, okay, outside of Mahomes and Brady, well, then, you've got the Trent Dilfers, you've got the Nick Foles, you've got the Hurts, you've got now Peyton Manning, you've got this dude now, that Sam Darnold. You start pointing at all the different guys that have also won. Okay, it's great to have the great quarterback. If you have them, fantastic. But if you don't, get the team first and then add it. If you happen to have the franchise guy, that superstar quarterback, that's fantastic. But if you don't have the superstar quarterback, just go build the team first. Then go get a competent guy to kind of just be the game manager.
What a great example the Seahawks are for all of that. A front office and a team really hitting on their draft picks. You see a lot of guys on rookie contracts, these players that they've groomed, developed. You see Devin Witherspoon going out there and making plays, and he was one of the top DBs in his draft class. You could go on and on with just Jackson
Philadelphia the year before that, dude.
Right, they're loaded up in the trenches. Yeah. The trench play. The secondary marrying the with their coverage being married and tied to what's going on up front. I mean, the Seahawks just whipped the Patriots at the line of scrimmage. That's where games are won. That's why the Miami Hurricanes in college football were able to make this run that they went on. It was winning in the trenches. So I think that's going to be an emphasis for the Dolphins under John Eric Sullivan and Jeff Hafley. Is they see the importance in the trenches, and then. That's where you start your team. And then, now Sam Darnold, he might be an anomaly as far as just you can go pick up a free agent and have him do these things, leading a team as a quarterback. You're not just going to find that every year. But he still serves as an example that it can be done this way. And you just need that quarterback that's just good enough, that fits the system the right way, and complements everything else when it's built.
Rossini just reported that the Vikings are going to bring in competition for J.J. McCarthy, which is really code for we failed with McCarthy. We need to go get a guy because our window is closing. Our team is Super Bowl ready right now, and this idiot isn't ready, and that's why we fired our GM. And so now they're talking about Kirk Cousins, and that's exactly what we're talking about. If your team can dominate in the line of scrimmages, which Minnesota's pretty good at both lines of scrimmage, then you just go get that guy, and you're good enough, and you could go out there and get it done because you've got to win at the line of scrimmage. And you just said it, New England lost because they lost at the line of scrimmage. And part of the reason why was because two of their offensive linemen were rookies, dude. I mean, it's like, it's tough, dude. Your left and right tackle, your left and left tackle, left guard are rookies, and your quarterback's a second-year player. That's a lot to ask. Whereas Seattle was mature, ready to go, and the quarterback was already a seasoned guy because he's already been through his hell and back already, in his world. So it just looks like it was two different teams in in different levels of their maturation process.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Patriots were fortunate to be in the Super Bowl, get that far. We talked about it last time. Just the way the AFC, the way their schedule worked out for them, the way the AFC playoff bracket worked out for the Patriots. It was just perfect for them to get through, and then it was like all stars aligned to get to that point. And then they were just outclassed and outmatched by the Seahawks, who were a true contender, ready to win it all at this moment. And, for the Patriots, hey, that's still very much ahead of schedule. Mike Vrabel, year one, they brought in a bunch of free agents, and obviously their defense for a lot of the season had been stellar. They were winning at the line of scrimmage a lot with like Milton Williams providing that interior pass rush, and Christian Gonzalez on the outside locking guys down, and they just had solid players at every level, at linebacker, everything. But eventually it's just caught up to them that they are just not on paper a team that's Seattle, where the roster is just loaded with depth at every position. If one guy goes out, like Jackson Smith-Njigba was hurt for a lot of the Super Bowl. He was hampered. He wasn't himself, and he didn't put up any kind of big numbers, but yet that team is just set up to be exactly that, a team that can pick up somewhere else on the roster. Like it was Kenneth Walker who stepped up in the run game, where again the Seahawks were dominating in the trenches on the offensive side as well as defensively. So you were able to pick it up with something else when your most talented player really was hampered.
Yeah. So to me, and this team, the two new guys talked about building from inside out. I hope that they follow through on that. And I hope that they don't go the route where, the silliness that we're hearing about, oh, go get Malik Willis. Why, dude? You're not going anywhere, and you're not even ready, and that kid's not ready, and you're going to pay him, and then he's going to go through hell. He needs to go to Minnesota. He needs to go to somewhere where they're ready, and they can protect him, and they can give him what he has in Green Bay, structure. That's how if Malik Willis is the kind of guy that if he goes to a place that doesn't have the structure in place and the culture in place, he's going to look terrible. If you have the structure in place and the culture in place and everything, he's going to have a better transition and a better chance of succeeding. You know what I mean? That's why I kind of compared him to Matt Flynn. You might be a little young, but I don't know if you remember, but Matt Flynn
I was in college when Matt Flynn had that.
Matt Flynn had a couple games with Green Bay, and then all of a sudden, I had Dolphin fans flooding the lines at QAM. Oh, we got to sign Matt Flynn. And I was like, no, dude, he's only played a couple games. Relax.
Yeah.
and then Seattle gave him all that money, and he was a failure for Seattle and a failure for the Raiders. And obviously they found Russell Wilson at the same time. And so Russell Wilson beat him out and everybody else. And then they traded him to the Raiders, and he did nothing. And so I just think it's not the time to go for if you really want to win and if you really want to build a culture, then do what you said, build from the inside out, and look at the NFL, dude. Look at the teams that were there at the end. All those teams could play defense, man. All those teams could dominate at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, I'll admit I might have been on the Matt Flynn bandwagon that year when I was a youngster in college, around there when that was going on. I was.
And you're still not listening to me. You didn't listen to me then, and you're not listening to me now.
Well, I'm listening. What did I say this time?
I'm just saying. I just had to throw it out there. You didn't listen to me and Matt Flynn. Well, I did tell you a couple times, this thing's over, and you were like, nah, you're a hopium and stuff like that. So we've caught you a couple times pumping that hopium and stuff. Where I tell my people, hey, yo, this season's done. I'm sorry, and the season was done. And last year, this season's over, and you were still pumping that hopium too. So we've caught you with that hopium a little bit there, okay? All right. So I'm just saying. No, but seriously, bullshitting aside, I just hope they follow through, and somebody does the opposite of what everyone else has done in the past. Oh, we got to go get that quarterback. No, dude, there's no hurry for that right now. There just isn't. That's all.
Do it the Packers way, which also includes finding multiple options that might work out at the quarterback position. Like they were the ones that had Matt Flynn as a backup quarterback, who then drew up this value from those games, like Malik Willis now is doing, as his value has skyrocketed. And if the market is what it is for Malik Willis, and that's true, then yeah, I don't see the Dolphins going and being a contender for his services. Only if it's like that you get him at what's a bargain compared to what everyone's talking about, then maybe you consider it. But aside from that, because I think Sullivan, more so than maybe being tied to him from Green Bay, would realize what he said in his introductory press conferences, that there are multiple avenues for player acquisition, and that also this team is not yet prepared to go in and strike in free agency. They need to get into a healthy cap situation first. So I think that would be a priority, getting into the healthy cap situation before you go and throw big money at a quarterback in free agency, when you're still going to have to pay off your previous regime's quarterback in terms of all the dead cap that Tua is going to take up this season. So
makes a lot of sense. And that leads me to my question, which I think you nailed it right there. Since you're not really going to be a big player in free agency, and I don't like talking about the draft more often than not, because I wait till free agency is done. Then I start to get a better feel for people where they're going to go in the draft, because now I see the holes that you filled and all that. But that's not going to be this year. You're not going to be big players in free agency. You're going to be bigger players probably in the draft more than, if anything, in free agency. You might be trading players to get more picks in the draft. You know what I'm saying? That's what you might be doing in this free agent move, is trying to create ways of getting more picks that you already have going in. So just as a little primer, just to kind of get your feel on it, because I'm sure you're kind of preparing for it already at the Sun Sentinel, what are you looking at? Because Miami has got they pick 11, 43, and then 3 in the third, 75, 87, and 90. First 3 rounds are starter rounds. That's considered the best rounds, where you're going to get starters in other rounds, of course, but what I'm saying is, in the first 3 rounds, that's considered the prime talent in every draft, and you should be able to find starters there. So Miami's going to have 5 chances to find starters there. What guys, what positions are you looking at? Where do you think it's stronger in one part of the draft than the other? And just, give me a couple names out there of things that you think they need so much, so it's all over the place. But, your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I'll just go at it. And I think you nailed something there, which was frustrating with the past draft, was how you can find starters in that, like, say, 3rd round. And then the Dolphins, they had their first 2 picks, and they went to the trenches with them, like they did in 2024 as well. But then you had this huge gap where you didn't pick for, what was it, like 100 selections. You went from a 2nd-round pick to a 5th-round pick. And it was kind of frustrating where, you're looking at cornerback that you didn't go in the 1st round. Everyone was talking about that between Will Johnson and the other kid, Jahdae Barron. And you didn't go that route in the 1st round. But then it's just, you don't have those picks to go and supplement that, somewhere else. You drafted Jason Marshall later, and he showed some flashes, Miami kid who can develop. But that was one thing where this year they do have that. You have those 3 third-rounders. So 5 picks in those first 2 days, then there's a lot you can do. First of all, in round 1, if either of those 2 Miami prospects, those top 2 Miami prospects, Francis Mauigoa or Ruben Bain, are still there, then I am rushing that card up faster than the Colts took Tyler Warren after the Dolphins pick.
But I don't think so. I don't think either guy.
It'll be right. Seems unlikely, but I see some of them where, like, they got Bain going to like 11. Maybe some have them at like 9, and then it's like you're where it's just out of reach. So if, let's say, he falls because people don't like his arm length or something, then which we see stories like that all the time. We've seen crazier things happen after the combine. So if something like that were to happen, then I'm rushing it for one of those 2, because Mauigoa, he already plays right tackle, which would symbolize you're moving off Austin Jackson at this point with a new regime. And if you have him and Patrick Paul at the left side, those are nice bookend tackles to solidify your future there, and you are set. But and if not, Ruben Bain, hey, if this defense, they're going to need edge rushers, and if you want to go with more 4-man fronts like the Packers did over there when Hafley was DC, and they had Sean Duggan as linebackers coach, then he's the guy who could play the traditional 4-3 defensive end, being coached by Jason Taylor at UM. So that would be a home run. But if not, I look at maybe a couple of corners in Mansour Delane out of LSU, Jermon McCoy out of Tennessee. He's coming off an ACL though, or Ohio State safety Caleb Downs. I know this is
He's a hell of a player.
Yeah, and I know this isn't trenches like we're talking about, but you maybe could take that liberty from the previous regime's first 2 picks of the last 2 drafts coming in the trenches. When you talk about Kenneth Grant, Jonas Savaiinaia, the year before, Chop Robinson, and Patrick Paul, that you can take some liberty in finding some DB solidifying the back end of the defense, which, by the way, the Packers, and because I was doing some research for a story I wrote today.
By the way, Phillips and Biggers, you're going to get one of those 2 guys. They're going to help you too, man. One of them is going to be a rotational guy, but I think one of those guys is probably going to end up being a really nice player overall.
Absolutely. No, I mean, Jordan Phillips is definitely tracking that way. He started a bunch last year. And Zeke Biggers can be that like run stuffing nose tackle, but and big field goal blocker too. So I mean, special teams can contribute there. But I looked into the Packers drafts of the past, and from 2014 to 2021, 5 of those 8 drafts, Green Bay went with a DB first. So as much as it's like emphasis on the trenches, then you can go find a player in the secondary that will also help your trench play when the back end is covering very well. But also edge defenders, like if
they also had problems with Jair Alexander contract issues and stuff like that during that time too.
Yeah. HaHa Clinton Dix was one of them during those years. You can find good players there that will help you there. But also if it's another edge defender, like if Arvell Reese or David Bailey, Keldrick Falk, if they're, I'm up for any of those because this team will need some edge rushers. And then as you go into the second round, sticking with maybe a little bit of my UM bias, but Akeem Mesidor is being talked about in the first round, but let's say if he drops, I see some mock drafts where he's in the second, then I'd be happy to take him there if you didn't get
for sure. But I don't think there's enough crack in the room to get them all the way down there. I just don't.
That's fair. Yeah. But if not, I mean, you could go with like a wide receiver, like Indiana's Omar Cooper, if he's out there. Maybe Malachi Fields out of Notre Dame, who's a big 6'4" target that would complement Waddle.
Please get me a big receiver. Jesus Christ, dude.
Yeah.
Like look at what Puka Nacua does, man. Look what the guy with the Rams that is an old guy that he just won his second title, Cooper Kupp. Your big receivers are important, man, in this game. It helps your quarterback. It gives him a bigger target. We had an Oompa Loompa quarterback with Oompa Loompa receivers. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Even if you have a normal quarterback that is a target, give them big targets, bro. Big targets make it nice and easy for them. Big range. I'm with you, dude. If you can give me a big receiver, I'd be really, really happy for the Dolphins in there.
Yeah, and maybe second round is the spot for that receiver where if we think of all those Packers drafts, what was the one thing they always said is like they never drafted a first-round receiver for Aaron Rodgers. But maybe you do go and get your guy in the second round while you have so many other holes to fill with that first-round pick. Around then might be when if you didn't get a cornerback first, then maybe D'Angelo Pons out of Indiana, Miami kid, went to Chaminade. He wasn't the one who intercepted the last pass. That was Jamari Sharp, but D'Angelo Pons had that pick 6 against Oregon. Maybe you find a cornerback at that point as well. Or, then I'm also opening up to a lineman as well, even if it's an interior. Well, I mean, you want to go center because you have Aaron Brewer over there, but if it's a guard or one of the top
tackles. You have 3 third rounders, bro. I mean, you're going to have a variety there of even going for a lineman because you can find guards in the third round also. So corners, guards, I would imagine that's also going to be something looked at in the third round. They got 3 picks, man. That is sweet. 75, 87, and 90. It's pretty good.
Yeah. So I would love an O-lineman once you get to that third round. But also, if they fall in love with one of those other quarterbacks, once you get to round 3, if like Garrett Nussmeier, you really like him, and you have those 3 picks, so you kind of it's not like you have this big gap afterwards. So And we do know the Packers, they always would try to take a quarterback they like, find some value there. If it's a Garrett Nussmeier, I don't know, Drew Aller. I don't think Carson Beck would go that high, even though I did see one where they had him in the 3rd round. I was a little surprised by that. But, yeah, maybe you do find one there. Or, like, hey, grab a nickel like Keontae Scott. I mean, the plays he can make for the Canes this year. You saw that pick 6 against Ohio State. If he's projected to go around round 3, that would be awesome. I remember seeing a Utah edge rusher, Logan Fano, around there. So if you're going to need those edge rushers, you could stock up with one there. I believe related to Spencer Fano, the Utah tackle who's going to go in the 1st round. So big time family there. But a lineman, definitely. Any one of the number of linemen that are probably going in that middle of the round, then that's fantastic there.
All right. The other thing I was going to ask you, and this is kind of a lower round question here, but did you look at the fullback and what offense they're going to use? Is Ingold coming back, and is this where you go get a young fullback in that 3rd day somewhere and start to turn the corner there and save yourself a little money?
Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing is Bobby Slowick did mention when he spoke to reporters that he does plan on using the fullback. So I think we'll really see that Shanahan-style offense that does incorporate the fullback like San Francisco does with Juszczyk and the Dolphins had under Mike McDaniel for 4 years where Alec Ingold was that player. And he's a Green Bay kid, just like Sullivan and Hafley come from Green Bay, and Bobby Slowick went to high school in Green Bay. So I would venture to believe they want to work with him. But there would be, I think it's like $3 million that you could save by moving on from him. The only thing is, how many fullbacks are there really? And I haven't looked in the draft to see if there's someone that can really play that role. But yeah, that would be an interesting point. But he's also he does so many of the intangible things. A leader in the locker room. I know I see you shaking your head, but
it's time, bro. It's time. It's time.
Yeah,
you page, bro. I'm just saying, I haven't looked into the draft. I'm not going to bother for now. But if the fullback class is something interesting and there's some couple projects in there, and if you are going to incorporate that in your offense, then now's the time to do it, because this is the first year that you're installing everything. You want a young guy to grow into the system. So I'm just saying, you don't want to spend a lot of money there no matter what. And at this point, and he's had his share of injuries too. By the way, Alec has had his share of injuries. So I'm just saying, it's kind of one of those positions. And what's his cap number? You know what I mean? And you're about like shaving a lot of stuff off right now. And I just think that this is where you chew off some of the fat there.
I mean, it's an area where you could, but it's just how many fullbacks are there out there that
not a lot.
Not a lot. Offense.
Yeah. I haven't looked at the draft, but you've been in this business long enough to know that the draft nowadays has very few fullbacks.
Oh yeah,
very few.
I don't even know if you call it a class.
In fact, you find yourself going to get a big running back to then try to convert them to a fullback is what you end up doing sometimes. If you desperately need one and there isn't one, you have to go find one and convert one, which is kind of weird. You know what I'm saying?
Like, wasn't that the story with Najee Davenport?
Yeah, the crap master was they tried to do that with the crap master. Yes, definitely. What?
Wait,
what? It's what he is. He's the crap master. Anybody that sneaks into somebody's room in the middle of the night and leaves a deuce inside their laundry basket, you're the crap master.
I'm not sure I know this story.
You don't know about Najee Davenport? Drunk at the U, and in the middle of the night, he was so drunk he walked into somebody else's dorm, a girl's dorm, and he took a dump right into her hamper.
No way! I had never heard that story. I was young when that team was doing its thing, so I mean, I watched, but I don't know if that story got around to me.
You weren't listening to the show.
Man.
So Najee Davenport, the crap master. Yes. Of course. You have the story there, Sean? You want to read it? Sean's going to find it for you so we can reminisce. We can we can go down the brown alley.
I can't believe we got to this by talking about Dolphins fullbacks. We reached Najee Davenport, and then now we're on this story.
You brought up
the free flow. I like the free flow of
you brought up Najee Davenport, and he dumped crap. Well, I have a lot of crap in my head, and it just comes up. Go ahead, Sean. Read the story. Tell them that.
It says in 2002, Najee Davenport was involved in a widely reported incident where he broke into a Barry University dormitory in Miami, Florida, and defecated in a female student's laundry basket. The incident on April 1st, 2002, a female student, Mary McCarthy, woke up around 6 a.m. to a strange noise in her dorm room where she found Davenport squatting in her closet and defecating into her laundry hamper. Davenport was arrested in July of 2002 and charged with second-degree burglary and criminal mischief. He avoided jail time by entering a plea bargain, agreeing to complete 100 hours of community service. Despite the plea, Davenport maintained his innocence, famously stating, "Where's the evidence? Where's the manure? I know I didn't do it. I just wanted to get it over with."
Oh, man.
By the way,
the bizarre incident.
You know what? I forgot that it was breaking into a dorm in Barry, not the UM.
Barry, yeah.
Here's the aftermath. The bizarre incident earned Davenport the nicknames Dookie and the Dump Truck throughout his NFL career.
Yes.
Okay. And you had a third one there. So.
I've always called him the Crap Master. Always. From the day it happened, I called him the Crap Master. And he's the Crap Master because, that was masterful. How old were you in 2002?
I was turning 12 later on. So I was still 11.
Yeah, it's 11-year-old is not really looking up a story about Najee Davenport dumping in somebody's hamper. Yeah.
No. Yeah, that one didn't quite reach me. I was in on the highlights. Love watching Philip Buchanan go and return for touchdown. Ed Reed, pick sixes and all that. Jonathan Vilma light up those Nebraska players in the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, we've had some memorable things happen down here, and they're all in here. They're all in here from the last 59 years. Anyway, all right. Follow him on Twitter at David Furones _. Don't forget our friends at Welt Rheaume 954-966-4646. Homeowner property damage, bankruptcy, condo damage, criminal defense, business owner claims, personal injury. Call my guy, Dan and Jeff. The consultation is completely free. Jeff will tell you if you have a case. And if not, they're so good, they'll lead you to somebody else that can help you. If they don't happen to help you in this area that you had an issue with, they'll probably know a lawyer that can help you, man, which is amazing. They're good people, man. They're just amazing people. They're in Hollywood, and a lot of our listeners have already called and have had a lot of success with Jeff Welt and Daniel Rheaume over the last 6 years. 954-966-4646. The consultation is completely free, so you can explain your situation, and they'll tell you if you have a case. David, what do you got going on in the Sentinel so folks can check you out?
Yeah, actually was just writing and just published a story on Dolphins' outlook in the secondary. Used a lot of interviews that with the team's impending free agents at corner and safety right before the season ended on locker cleanout day and such. So finally got a chance to circle back on that. So looking into draft possibilities in the secondary where Jeff Hafley's background is coaching DBs. So this will be an area of emphasis. So, what we think about Rasul Douglas, Jack Jones, Ashton Davis, the draft at cornerback and safety. So check that out. And later on this week, I'll be looking into checking out some draft prospects at Pete Bomarito's down here.
Nice. The psycho.
Yeah.
the psycho trainer.
Right.
There's nobody more intense than I mean it all with love. Pete is a good dude, but he is intense, bro. Oh, that is one intense dude. You send your kid there, or you're an athlete, you go there, you're gonna get in shape with Pete. That's for damn sure, dude. He's gonna
That's why he churns out these prospects that kill it at the combine with those 40 times.
He's a badass.
I'm gonna go find some of those in this year's class.
No doubt. All right, follow him on Twitter at David Furones _. By the way, How was that Kid Rock halftime show? Because I know that's what you were tuned into.
No, I was watching Benito.
Of course you were watching Benito.
Yeah.
Everybody was watching Benito. Anyway, follow him on Twitter, David Furones _. We'll catch you on Friday, my brother. Thank you.
All right, sounds good.
You got it. And visit our friends at Welt Rheaume. They will take care of you. 954-966-4646.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.